Let's speak about the team. So we saw in the first game we played three spinners. That was something I believe that was picked because of the pitch. Uh, and secondly, the thing which I'm looking forward is that we got to know for Zimbabwe, Washi is back in the side. But Ashwin had a remarkable game in the first T20. So um, that's somewhere you need to look into. That do you still back Ashwin for the World Cup squad, or do you want to see how Washi performs after his injury?
So I think at the moment they are in a bit of an experimentation stage, because for me, if I look at the five bowlers or the six bowlers that could play in a playing 11 in Australia, I definitely don't see three spinners playing there in Australian conditions for sure. I think that's something which is a given. So when you look at two spinners which would be there in the playing 11, it has to be Yuzi Chahal and Jadeja being the
Okay.
fifth bowler or the fourth bowler. So between the fourth and the fifth bowler, or the fifth and the sixth bowler, it is always Hardik and Jadeja who would fill in that five bowler, six bowler program that India would have. So at this point, I think the intention of having Ravi Ashwin some games under his belt and Washi getting, as you said, a hit in the Zimbabwe series is a bit of a trying to create a bit of a depth within the team, trying to see who is in what kind of form, because most of these guys wouldn't have had a decent hit post the IPL back in May. So definitely a game time, an international game time can be extremely helpful. So I think your three spinners in the 15 squad or four spinners in the 15 squad might be more or less set who they are, and two in the batting playing 11 are also set more or less who they would be. However, the reason for this experimentation of getting in Akshar Patel, Ravi Bishnoi, and now Washi is just to create depth, to ensure that if you have last minute injuries just before the start of the huge mega event, you can always have backups who are absolutely ready, game fit more than anything else, to be able to come and perform up to the full stage.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. But I stick to that point that in Australia we cannot see more than two spinners. But
Absolutely.
I believe with the experience of Ashwin in such a mega stage, he still has that experience and still has that knack of picking wickets, though in a very small format of the game, smallest rather. But still, I would back if you want to go with the third spinner in adding into the 18-man squad, I would definitely have Ashwin. I'm not sure if India going to still go with Ravi Bishnoi as well and Akshar Patel. If you go with um, the two spinners of Jadeja and Chahal, I would. If you still want to add two more, I'll add Ashwin and Akshar Patel as the backups of Jaddu. But also one more point which I'm seeing since the England T20 series is India is experimenting Rishabh Pant or different openers at the top. Um, I see that is an experiment just to put aside Ishan Kishan from the World Cup squad, because if you put aside another Ishan Kishan, which makes the second wicket keeper, which is KL Rahul, absolutely, and is India certain to have Dinesh Karthik in the squad as well?
I think with the performances that we've seen so far, I think Karthik would have more or less booked that ticket to go to Australia. I would definitely see that he would be part of that squad as a finisher and as that specialist role there. I would be very, very surprised if he's excluded. So that part seems to be, I would say, more or less certain as of now. But yeah, with the top order, I would, I mean, there is again a lot of experimentation happening, but what I absolutely love is the approach, which is changed from this England series, where the top order is starting to play a lot more freely, lot more aggressively, with a lot more freedom in terms of their strike rates picking up that well. I looked at some of the data which I was looking at from the first two partnership, which is the opening partnership and the second wicket partnership. The India's scoring rate in the games that India have lost have been so massively low compared to the scoring rates when they've actually won the game. So this is irrespective of batting first or batting second. The approach that they are starting to use from this last England series is very refreshing, and I think that's the new age way of playing T20 cricket, where you 20 ball 30 is better than a 36 ball 50. uh, you know
Absolutely.
uh, that is the kind of approach that they are using, and I think that is what they need to carry on. And with the resources which they're juggling around with Rishabh Pant and Suryakumar Yadav opening, I think this is all part of that experimentation phase. But I think you need, at some point they would need to stop the experimentation when they get closer and when the number of fixtures reduce. Like right now, how many ever series they have, how many ever games they have building up to that first game in October, they would need to set themselves some cutoff that, okay, at this point we need to stop our experimentation and we need to be very certain of who are playing 11 and maybe those additional 12, 13 players are.
Correct. So that's. I think that experimentation will stop once we have KL Rahul back,
Yeah.
and looking into Rishabh Pant's position, I don't. I'm struggling to find see him where he gets the place in the T20 World Cup, because you will have Kohli back at three. Uh, One more surprising thing is I'm seeing in the first T20 I saw no Deepak Hooda in the side. That surprised me a lot, because looking into current form, I don't remember the last innings which Suryakumar Yadav played apart from the century in the final T20. After that, I don't see any good innings he has played, and his form has dipped a lot in the ODI series as well as in the first T20 as well. So I definitely have Deepak Hooda as he will add another all rounder as well. And if you have Rishabh Pant at four, then you have Deepak at five, and then you have that makes Hardik bat at six, and then there's a the place for Dinesh Karthik is somewhere you cannot find it. So I think that's the reason why India is trying to get see if Rishabh Pant fires in the top, then they can add him as a backup wicket keeper, and having Dinesh Karthik or KL Rahul as the premium wicket keeper in the starting 11, because Rishabh Pant lately has been very good in Test, no doubt about that, hands down, but also in the ODI format as well. T20, uh, T20 format, I still do not see him firing that much.
Yeah, absolutely. Rishabh Pant has his work cut out. There is a massive amount of competition for spots, and everybody is aware of it. And that competition of spots is only going to help Team India. But I think there are some key match winners who cannot rest on their laurels for at all, and they need to pull up their socks. Like when you talked about Rishabh Pant, something very stark came out in some of the analysis which I just recently did in one of my recent video, where it mentioned that when Rishabh Pant has improved his scoring rate brilliantly against spin in IPL over the last 3 years. He always preferred with pace on the bat, and he was a brilliant stroke maker against pace bowling in IPL when he first started out, 2018, 2019. But he's improved quite a bit against spin. He's been not allowing the spinners to settle in IPL. But when it comes to T20 internationals, the figures and the statistics are absolutely shocking, because you get to see that he is scoring at a strike rate of 100, over the last 3-4 years against spin. And it's not that he's not facing spin enough, because he's, as you said, he's coming at number 4, number 5, where you start off with spin. And if you're
That's
going to
correct.
start off at that scoring rate, you're going to put yourself and the team into immense catching up to be done, and immense pressure in order to either set a decent total or chase down a ever increasing required run rate.
Absolutely. I'm not aware of the stat, but if it's so, then it's really shocking, because if he bats and he really does do bats in number four, and in that stage, it's the seventh and eighth over ideal stage. The spinners continue, or the spinners start coming into the game, and if you're scoring at a strike rate of 100, then that's not good news. But yes, he
Absolutely.
has matured his innings. He has definitely matured his innings the last couple of years. He's been terrific in white ball cricket and in the ODI, as well as no doubt in the red ball cricket. But we do need this competition going on. I really love Rishabh Pant. I'm a Delhi Capitals fan. I will definitely love Rishabh Pant, but still, looking into the current situation, in the first T20, Dinesh finished off in wonderful style in the first innings, and if India is if the board is planning Rishabh Pant as a backup, then I seriously think there is no place for Ishan Kishan going, because not to forget it's Australian conditions. It's tough for Ishan Kishan as well as Shreyas Iyer, because they are very weak in balls above the shoulders. So absolutely, that's correct. That's why I said, and with Surya and Deepak Hooda very successful in number three, number four spot. I really think Shreyas Iyer won't be included in the 18-man squad. And talking about the keepers, I also already have KL Rahul as well as Dinesh Karthik. I think Dinesh Karthik, if he's in the 11, he gets the gloves for me. And KL Rahul as the backup in the starting 11, and then you have Rishabh Pant in the number 18 team, who's going to go as a third wicket keeper. So it's sorted between the wicket keepers, it's sorted between the openers. But the question is, if KL Rahul is not fit or any issues in the opening slot, then you need to have. I think it's going to be Kohli who's going to open in the World Cup if there's any issues in the opening slot. No experimentation in the World Cup stage, absolutely. And talking about the bowlers now, we have seen Arshdeep Singh getting a nod. We have seen Umran Malik. We have seen Siraj. We've seen Prasidh Krishna. There are many experiments going on. Who are three premium bowlers in the World Cup T2011?
So Bhuvneshwar Kumar, Harshal Patel are straight away your number one, number two. There's absolutely no doubt there. Number three is the spot up for grabs. It could be Arshdeep. For me, looking at the way these new guys have performed post the IPL, I was a huge fan of Umran Malik, but I would be very unfortunate to, he will be unfortunate to miss out, because if you compare Arshdeep Singh versus Umran Malik, Arshdeep Singh wins that battle hands down, because you need to have some sort of variety, you need to have some sort of unpredictability and that X factor. Umran Malik has the X factor with pace and he can hurry the batsman up. But what is the variation that he possesses in the T20 game? Absolutely not. So he's got a bouncer and he's got a yorker and he's got, everything under pace. And versus Arshdeep Singh, you have so many things on the table. You have swing with the new ball. You have a bouncer which he bowls, and you have a slower ball bouncer. The king of yorkers, they keep calling him at the death. He has a two, three different types of slower balls. So when you have so much of variety on hand, and not only having variety of hand, but also executing that variety in crunch matches for Punjab, which he's done last year and this year. So there is absolutely no comparison between, if you want to have a comparison between Umran Malik and Arshdeep Singh. So I would definitely want to see Arshdeep as that third pacer, or the pacer within the lineup, and then Hardik becomes your fourth all-rounder come specialist bowler, with Jadeja and Yuzi Chahal. So those become your 5 or 6 bowling options. And as you said, Deepak Hooda fitting in the top order can add valuable 1 or 2 overs, especially if one of the bowlers are having an off day. So that would be generally what my bowling lineup would be. I don't see space for Siraj. I don't see space for Krishna in the lineup. I think more or less this is what the lineup would be.
You're forgetting the two premium, the most successful for India, Jasprit Bumrah.
Jasprit Bumrah. Yeah, so that goes to show the kind of options and the depth that you have. So Jasprit Bumrah, of course, will walk in. So definitely one of them has to have a backseat. So you can imagine the kind of competition there.
I think Jasprit Bumrah and Bhuvi makes it. You're saying Harshal Patel. That's where I am a bit not that curious in an Australian condition. I would, in my opinion, I understand what Harshal Patel's role has been the last 3 years in IPL in India, where both stages he has been very successful. He comes in to bowl after the 10th over, and his job is already, we all know, at the death. But will his slower ball, will his variations work in Australian conditions? That's the only concern for me, because his slower balls, around 120, 122 clicks is equal to what Hardik Pandya will bowl in the Australian conditions as well. That's
Right.
where I would prefer Mohammad Shami. In such a Australian condition, fast-paced condition, I would prefer Mohammad Shami as my third seamer. Get Mohammad Shami and Bhuvi in the top, have them bowl with a new ball. And my king, my Jasprit Bumrah is there. He might bowl 1 over in the power play, get 1 over around 10 to 12th over, and you have two quality overs of him with his class at the death. I think, in my opinion, if I would have picked, I would have gone this in a World Cup situation at Australia, just because it's Australia. If this was in a so slow conditions like England or in India or any Asian country, I would have definitely had Harshal Patel. But as it's in Australia, it's going to be very fast track. I'm going to
Yeah.
have Shami. I'm going to definitely have Harshal Patel in my 18-man squad. But speaking about 11, I'm going to have Shami, Bumrah, and Bhuvi along with the two spinners you talked about, with Hardik as the sixth option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So the World Cup as well as the West Indies tour of India will carry on. I really, really thank you so much.